Hi everyone, how y'all doing? Mike's gonna sound a little bit weird because I'm kind of just recording this off the cuff because I saw something really funny. So I saw this tweet, but actually before I got to this tweet, I first actually heard about this through a video from Mr. Sujano, a YouTube channel that I follow, and he talked about the fact that apparently there was this one video where someone was able to show that the Nintendo Switch 2 looked better than the PlayStation 4, which to me doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's a PS4. We're talking about a console that came out in 2013, so proving that you're better than a console that came out in 2013 isn't exactly the most impressive fucking thing ever. But I thought to myself, whatever. Who cares? Uh, Now the thing is, I didn't look too closely into this, but I first saw this tweet, and this made me now here's the thing. I'm pretty sure the person that wrote this, I think they know what they're doing. I think they titled this on purpose to be provocative because there's a very huge problem with phrasing it this way. Yakuza Zero graphics looks better on Nintendo Switch 2 than PS5. Because when you read this, it implies that the Nintendo Switch 2 is in a circumstance where it's graphically superior to the PS5, which might make people think, whoa, shit, maybe the Switch 2 might be more powerful than I thought. And I think I remember someone, yeah, someone even wrote saying it all comes down to better optimization. Here's the problem though. There's very there's missing context behind this, and people have already pointed this out. But here's the thing about Yakuza Zero, and let me actually double check if I actually don't know if Yakuza Zero is in this website. So in case you don't, okay, it's here. So in case you don't know, Backwards Compatible used to be this site that, unfortunately, I don't think it's active anymore. But it used to be this site where people would actually upload databases of games in which, for example, let's look at Ghost of Tsushima. So if you scroll down here, it shows how the game, the resolution output as well as the frame rate when you play it on the base PS4. Then there's the PlayStation 4 Pro, and then there's the PS5. This one I think is specifically for backwards compatibility. And then if you scroll up, you would see the actual like native performance for the actual PS5 build. So in this case, oh shit, it targets 30 FPS. That's interesting. So it seems like if you run the game, even the the PS4 port, if it detects that it's running on a PS5, it'll actually change the frame rate to 60. That's a good thing. That's actually a nice thing. Thanks Sony. Thanks Sony for that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about this game. We're here to talk about Yakuza Zero. Now, if you look at Yakuza Zero, we can see here that on the base PS4, the resolution is 1080p. On the PlayStation 4 Pro, the resolution is also 1080p, while the frame rate is, I guess it's on average 60 FPS, while on PS5 it's low. Now, here's the thing: this game, if I'm not mistaken, for the PS5, I think it came out. I don't know if it came out exactly the year. Let's fact check. We can actually do this together. So if we go to Yakuza Zero on the Wikipedia, release 2015. Yes, it was 2015, but I want to know specifically for the PS5. I want to know if it, sorry, PlayStation 4. I want to know if it came out like a year. Um, it probably let's say it came out like a year. Let's say it came out like a year after it was released on the PlayStation 3, which that's another thing that's also important to note. This is a PlayStation 3 game, technically speaking. But let's say it came out a year or two. This is a 2015 game. Back then, I don't think the PlayStation 4 Pro had been out yet, so this wasn't really a game that came out with the PlayStation 4 Pro enhancement feature, in which some games would run better, might be outputted better, or might have higher graphical settings if it was running on a PlayStation 4 Pro. this game came out around a time when that wasn't really normal yet. And so if you play this on a PlayStation 4 Pro, you're not really going to see any improvements. And if you play it on a PS5, you're definitely not going to notice any improvements. Because what you're doing at the end of the day, you're just playing the same build that was meant to be played on the PlayStation 4, on the base PlayStation 4. And so phrasing it like this implies that the PS5, like for example, when you put it like this, you're sort of implying that the game is like a PlayStation 5 port. And I know they clarified it here in the title, but even just saying PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility, like we saw a while ago, like there are certain games where they were actually patched to have some additional benefits on a PS5, even if it's not the actual PS5 build. But this game doesn't even apply that. Like this game is just way too old for really. It came out around the time when they weren't really doing that. So you really are just playing the base of the most base version of this game for the PS4 as you can. And so if you make a graphics comparison, which is fine, I have no problems with graphical comparison videos. It's fine. To be honest with you, they don't look that different. Like I can definitely like it does look more detailed. Like I would say that the facial detail, like the texture seems to be a little bit it's I wouldn't say more detail. I would say more visible. Like certain skin marks and stuff like that. It's a bit more noticeable on the Switch 2 side. The image generally looks sharper, but to be completely honest with you, I'm speaking as someone that played this game at like the maximum of maximum settings on PC, and I don't really like I would play either versions. Like I could see myself switching between these two. I'm not noticing like a major difference that would make it or break it for me. In my eyes, to be honest with you, they look similar enough. But I do think that the Switch 2 version looks better. But again, being better than a console that came out in 2013 is not actually that fucking impressive. I still think it's good though. I'm not even necessarily complaining, but when I'm seeing when I'm seeing comments like this, those are just early launch Switch 2 titles and before day one patch 2, pretty unreal. Oh my, I can't wait to see I can't wait until I see Monolith's first Switch 2 game. By the way, I'm actually excited for that too. Actually, I don't mind this. I don't mind this comment. It's pretty harmless. 6 ports and close up. Yeah, that is true. Nintendo Switch 2 kicking the haters. It looks awesome. It's not. It's not that. It's not that impressive, guys. Calm the fuck down. I'm pretty sure even the Steam Deck can run this game at like max settings, or at least high settings, at like 90 frames per second locked. Okay, it's not that fucking impressive. I remember someone. Oh yeah, it was this one. Ampere is better than RDNA 2. The PS4 is not based on RDNA 2. The, this is an irrelevant comparison. Nintendo is finally catching up to where you can't really see too much of a difference. Switch 2 is gonna be fire. I mean, again, game came out in 20 a console that came out in 2013. I don't think it's that fucking impressive. Not saying you should be mad. It's fine, but I don't think it's that crazy impressive. And to be honest with you, I was initially excited for the Switch 2, but then I started learning a lot of things about the way they might handle third-party physical media, and I also heard that apparently Nintendo will reserve the right to like break your console if you're not using it the way they want to, which to be honest, kind of maybe not really want to get this device and learning all of this. Um, but something that I am kind of interested in is the Legion Go that comes with Steam OS. Because that one is going to be more powerful than the Steam Deck. It's probably also going to be more powerful than the Switch 2. And I'm actually curious to see how that performs, not just with this game, but also with some of the Dragon Engine games. I'm also curious to know how that I'm saying curious, but I know for a fact that it's probably going to handle RPCS 3 pretty well. Because that's another thing about the Steam Deck that always kind of bugged me is that RPCS 3, when it comes to heavier games, especially ones that run at like 60 FPS, because like this is gonna happen even with games that are like that are like that have like the playable status. For example, the FIFA games, um, they have the playable status like a lot of them, but if you try to run those games at like on the Steam Deck, they do struggle because they can be pretty stingy on multi-threading. And so since the Steam Deck only has 4 cores and 8 threads, it does kind of struggle in that department. So yeah, the Legion Go, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure it's an 8 core, 16 threads CPU. So that could be tempting if I'm being honest. That might actually make me consider getting that. The Switch 2, honestly, a lot of the physical preservation concerns that I've been hearing more and more doesn't exactly motivate me to buy this. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, as far as this, like again, uh, it's cool that the Switch 2 is able to render the game to a point where it's comparable to the PS4, but I don't think it's that impressive. It really is not. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that the estimate that people were giving back then was that the Switch 2 would be relative to the PS4 Pro, not necessarily the base PS4. So yeah, this really isn't that crazy, impressive. But whatever. I'm not here to shit on Nintendo. I mean, I can do that on another time, but not in this instance. I just kind of wanted to point out some of the ridiculousness of these comparisons because I thought they're a little bit silly. But yeah, that's all.